Boys and girls, I hope you brought your shopping list because I'm about to teach you how to get richer than 99% of other people in the world. And so why am I qualified to talk about this and tell you about this right now? You see, my name is Devon Canup. I made over $5 million in my 20s off of the principles I'm going to talk about inside of here. So the first thing that I found is you want to flip the problem on its head and try to figure out what's the antithesis of getting rich. What do we have to do to not get rich, essentially? Then becomes a question of why are you not richer than 99% of other people? Here's 5 different reasons as to why I found this. First of all, you don't know how to become richer than other people. And that brings me over to a study that was conducted. In 1997, there was a group of kids, they went home for Christmas break, and half the students were told they just had to tell themselves they were gonna get the homework done. The other half of the class had to give themselves a specific time that they were going to do the assignment, and it was the breakfast after Christmas. The statistic found that 31% of the A group actually did the assignment, while as 71% of the B group, they ended up doing the assignment correctly. And it's the same exact thing when it comes to weight loss, relationships, and it's the exact same thing that happens when you try to become wealthy. You need to set yourself a specific goal, and without a specific goal with like a tangible way of achieving it, then you will never get rich. And so that's why we need to just simply do the math. As soon as you do the math, getting rich becomes significantly easier. If we're gonna get into the top 1% of income in the world, first of all, ask yourself, how much is that amount of money you gotta make? And the sad reality is that if you're a single adult, you only have to make $60,000 a year in order to be in the top 1% income of the entire world. For most of you, you're like, okay, haha, you got me there. I'm probably already making that amount of money, or you're actually really close. Most of you guys actually want to get like rich. You want to make more money than most other people in the world. Whereas like in the top 1% of the US, it's about $700,000 a year. Okay, there we go. That sounds a little bit more rich. Top 1%, something that we can actually go and pursue. So then what we need to do is ask ourselves, how can we make that amount of money? Instead of going after purely just straight up $700,000 right out the gate, let's go with something more attainable, which is kind of like a good halfway point. You see, if you watch any of my TikToks and any of my social media content, you see me talk about this concept of getting low-key rich. And it's this concept where you make enough money to where you can pay all your bills, cover all your expenses. And I believe that you get low-key rich around $30,000 a month. So let's use that as the baseline for now. And then we can talk about how you can make even more money in this video. So how do we make $30,000 a month? Let's break it down first of all. $30,000 a month is about $7,000 a week, $1,000 a day. And if you break it down into 24 hours, it's about $40 an hour. If you can make $40 an hour, 24 hours a day, you are making $30K a month. That doesn't sound too complicated now, is it? And so how do we actually make that happen? So if you're doing that with a YouTube channel, with the AdSense that you make off the advertising dollars from a video, that's just 3 to 5 million views a month that you have to achieve. Daily, that's about 100 to 200,000 views a day. Then starts to feel pretty realistic. If you can make a 100,000 view video every single day, then you're cranking. And this is how I've made over $2.5 million with this exact same process of building faceless YouTube channels. So then the question we have to ask ourselves is, how do we get to the point where we get that many views a day? What you want to do is you want to go find other YouTube channels that are getting 3 to 5 million views a month and just model them. Model the thumbnails, model the titles, model the hooks, model the content that they're talking about, model the strategy. And when you do that, then it becomes very black and white what you have to do to get to 3 to 5 million views a month. So where do you find these channels? I'm going to drop a link down in the description down below. I have over 300 6-figure YouTube channels that I found that are completely faceless that you can go model. You don't have to be on camera. You don't have to record videos like I am right now. You don't have to edit them. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just go down the list, go find some channels, and then just basically model them. So now at this point, you know how to make $30,000 a month. Simple, right? I've definitely delivered on the title of this video, how to get to the point where you make the top 1% of income, how to make more than 99% of other people in this world. And it still feels like we're missing something. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is what I call the paradox of getting rich. And that segues perfectly into our next point, which is most people are too comfortable to ever get rich, because making money is actually super simple. The reality is we have grown up with programming that makes it insanely difficult to actually get rich, because reality is to make 30K a month is not that complicated, but we make it extremely complicated. We were told that the only way to get rich is that you go work for 40 years and save every single penny. You sell drugs and do something illegal. You show your body publicly, or You have to win the lottery. You don't even try in the first place, which sadly, this is what 95% of people run into, is where they just don't even try to get rich and try to become the 1% because they just feel like it's not even in their cards to begin with. When in reality, it's never been easier to get richer. The crazy amounts of reach and leverage with social media. We have AI tools up the wazoo that can do all sorts of stuff. You also have access to knowledge and information in insane quantities now than ever before. You literally go on your phone or YouTube and you're watching a video right now that literally teaches you how to get to 30K a month. We also have supercomputers that are literally in our pockets 24/7. Plus, the quantity of ways to get rich these days is so long, it would probably take me a week just to explain all the different ways that there are making money. Yet you still don't get rich. At the end of the day, society has given us zero pressure or zero reason to actually get rich because it's told that it's not too bad for us to live life, have a salary job, have a good paying career in order for us to live a comfortable life. There's like a study that came out that they said where if you start making $72,000 a year, the percentage of income doesn't really increase the more money you make. So the question is, what are the reasons why we need to get rich? You never know what'll happen. We have no reasons until you get laid off from your job. You have no reasons until AI takes your job from you. Until you get to a point where your kids are just like, are growing up without a dad or a mom because you're just never around, you're never present anymore. Until you say something that's out of line and not a good fit for the culture of your company. So until recently, the only people that actually got rich were the people that were either born into it, got insanely lucky, or they just really pursued having the greatness in life and doing more in life, and they were just overachievers. Recently, especially after 2020 and then the last few years, it's not even a choice anymore, but it's like a necessity to figure out how to use these tools and all these things and becoming the top 1% of income earners. Which brings us over to our next point, which is that you don't have a strong enough desire in order to get rich. Sigmund Freud, a world-renowned philosopher and psychologist, talks about where in civilization and its discontents that we're motivated by two things, either pain or pleasure. We are either running away from pain or we are running towards pleasure. And the reality is most of us just don't have enough pain in our lives. We don't have enough of a strong desire. And a lot of that's just because we're told the wrong thing when it comes to emotions in life. Like, oh, you don't want to be angry, you shouldn't be pissed off. Like those are bad emotions, and especially societally. But in reality, most of the emotions out there are very debilitating. And so what's the emotion that has the most amount of activity and movement that will allow you to actually get rich? It's anger. When you're angry, when you're frustrated, you feel the urge to change something in your life. Remember the last time you were angry? You probably threw something, you probably punched a wall. You needed like an outlet for that anger and you needed to do something with that emotion that you had. And it's the same with getting rich. When I got rich, I decided to be angry with my situation. But then it got to a point where my car actually broke down and I had $50 to my name and I had to figure out rents. I had nowhere to, I couldn't even leave my apartment because I didn't have a car. And so it got to a point where I was literally so angry at my situation that I couldn't make more money and I couldn't figure it out that I literally locked myself in my room. I didn't really have a choice and figured out how to make money because I hated being in that situation, because I hated it so much because I was so angry. It made it so easy for me to go out of my way to actually go get rich and do the work and the activities that I needed to do to make tons of money. And so you need to ask yourself, well, what's something that's inconvenient in your day? Maybe you're sitting in traffic, maybe you're away from your kids, maybe, your wife and your relationship hasn't been so good recently. And instead of just putting it off like, oh, that kind of sucks, or, you're fearful of losing it, or fearful of not being there for your kids, or you're shameful or you're guilty, instead get angry about it. Because when you get angry about it, now you have fuel. Now you want to move. Now you want to go build a business. Now you want to go make 30K a month. Now you want to start that YouTube channel. Now you want to go do the work that it takes to actually get rich because you have a strong fuel source. And when you have a strong fuel source, then it becomes easy. You see, a lot of people, we suppress it. We take pills, we do drugs, we do all these things to suppress these emotions. When in reality, the pain that you're feeling is a good thing because that means that it's time for change. And it means that it's time for you to do something else with your life, which brings us over to my next point, which is that you don't believe that you can get rich. So I'm going to give you guys a few statistics that have helped change my mind. First of all, the government prints $500 million every single day. Just new money that's created out of thin air, which is crazy to think that just like there's just that much more new money every single day, not month, day that's being created. And also, there is 500,000 people that have an ultra high net worth. A ultra high net worth is people that have a net worth of greater than $30 million. Whereas just like 4 years prior, there was only 200,000 people that had an ultra high net worth. And so you would think like, oh, okay, nobody's becoming rich and nobody's becoming wealthy. Well, in reality, that number and that statistic has doubled in less than a decade. The amount of people that have an ultra high net worth. The question is then why can't you be one of those Americans that are making that amount of money? And another thing that I do that has allowed me to make a ton of money is I always put the price and the value on things. So I'll be driving around and I'm like, oh, that was a $30,000 car at one point. That was a $50,000. It starts to add up really quickly as soon as you start looking around and valuing everything around you in your visible world. You start to realize, why are you not wealthy at this point? Why are you not making more money? Money is all around you. Doesn't matter if you're in a broke place or rich place. Every building, every skyscraper is like $100 million, depending on where you are. It starts to get kind of funky, the numbers and the math of all this stuff. And so the big question really does become, again, is like, why are you not rich? Why are you not one of these people that's making more money? Which then brings us over to the last point, which is that you are too smart for your own good. This is where I see so many people, after coaching so many people, helping so many people get to where they're able to get to the point where they're making really good money, is that the amount of people that overthink things, even the people that are talented and smart, they overthink the littlest of things, like how to pick what topic they're going to do for their YouTube channel. We ran a statistic for my coaching program and we found that on average, it took people 34 days to pick their niche. 34 days! And so we started cutting down the time of that and people started making money significantly faster. So literally just by becoming somebody who makes a faster decision, you make money faster. The reality is just people overthink things. They need to do diligence. They need to look at all the options. They need to see what's best worth their time. And so you always want to break down to decision making into two different types of decisions, which I actually got this from Jeff Bezos. You want to ask yourself, is this a two-way door decision where you can go in and out, you can unmake the decision? Or is this a one-way door decision where you can never go back? If you are choosing to end a relationship with your wife or your spouse, that then starts to become a one-way door decision. What you eat today is a two-way door decision. The other thing is just you're a prisoner of your own intelligence. You can think up of every wrong reason why you shouldn't do something, and it just gets to the point where you can never do anything. It's debilitating. Instead of putting your attention on the negative things or why something won't work out, instead just ask yourself, what if it does work out? What's the best case scenario? And just start asking yourself that question rather than trying to look for like every reason why something won't work out. Because at the end of the day, the people that are getting rich are the ones that are trying to get rich. Stop waiting for next week. Stop waiting for like some better time. Stop waiting for more information. Just do the thing and finally become rich and become like the top 1% out there. At the end of the day, that's what I got. What are you waiting for at this point? And then again, at the beginning of this video, I promised like, okay, so how do I make millions of dollars a year? Tens of millions of dollars a year. Well, for me, I just kept hiring mentors with people that have already gotten to where I wanted to be. Applying these principles and not getting too comfortable, because what'll happen is you'll reach a new income level, you get to $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 a month, and then you'll get comfortable again. And then the clock resets. Instead of getting too comfortable, how do you make it so you don't get comfortable? So I always reinvest. I always try to stay broke. I just always try to find the emotions and create an environment that allows me to get rich. And I constantly try to go look at other people that are where I want to be in life. And that forces me to want to become somebody who is low-key rich, making tons of money, making even more money, and growing myself. And you start to realize that it's a game and it's fun. You get to where you hit some income goal and then you set for the next one and then the next one and the next one. And you start to just do it for the pursuit of the fun of hitting goals rather than because you have to pay your bills or you have to do something to be able to survive in life. And that's when it starts to get lots of fun. And you start to get really good at the cycle of resetting your baseline, having humility, taking action on things, not overthinking, and on to the next stage. Anyways, you got a lot out of this video. Watch this video right here. This other video that I made is really good as well. Go watch it. I take a lot of time, pour my heart and soul into making these videos. If you could subscribe as well, that'd be incredible. Thank you so much for watching. Adios, amigos. Let's get you low-key rich. Peace.